Hi, I'm Stacy Heatwole. I am an SLP in the Cleveland market with McKibben Monte, and I'm going to be presenting today on the Heggerty Phonemic Awareness Program. I'm interested in this program because in the last 17 years, I worked as the itinerant preschool therapist in a district up here in Cleveland, and I got to witness firsthand in a preschool program the incredible gains that the students had when this program was used. And I think it's a really valuable tool for us to use in our therapy to help with those pre-reading skills, especially with our kids with articulation, speech sound, phonological awareness, or language delays or disorders. So let me share my screen and we'll get on with it. So the Heggerty program has many different levels, but the one I'm going to be talking about is the pre-kindergarten curriculum. It is a purple book, and it's targeted for those children in their last year of preschool before they go to kindergarten. The first thing I wanted to talk about was in the past, when we learned to read, we often used just a basic phonics approach, which basically the focus is on the actual letters or graphemes and then their sounds. So A says ah, that kind of thing. It's really largely relies on the written language and using print and books. It can be visual and auditory. And then the students also work with reading and writing letters and looking at their spelling patterns and those phonological structures. However, in the Heggerty program, it is based more on phonemic awareness, in which you're really only looking at the phonemes or the actual sounds. It's spoken language and it's all auditory, well, mostly auditory. And it's working with the students identifying and manipulating those sounds and words that will help them as they enter kindergarten and become hopefully proficient readers. The program targets 8 phonemic awareness skills at this preschool level. So the first one is rhyming, and you want the students or the children to be able to recognize and produce rhymes. The next one is onset fluency, and that is just identifying that first sound of a word. The third one is blending, and so that is when you present the different components of a word that they can hear them and blend them together into the full word. So a compound word might be like mailbox, syllables might be like butterfly, and sounds might be like at for hat. On number 4, the next skill is isolating those final and medial phonemes. So same as the onset fluency, but also now looking at the middle and the end of words. Segmenting is number 5, and that's looking at taking compound words or multisyllabic words, or even one syllable, maybe consonant, vowel, consonant words, and you say the full word to them and they have to break it apart to hear the different sounds. Number 6 is adding. So they might say, take the word mile and add a S. What does it turn into? Smile. So again, it's that manipulation of sounds, not necessarily with the letter, but by hearing the sounds and adding those. Say the reverse of that, then number 7 would be the deleting those. So taking, for instance, the word baseball, and what's left if you don't say base. And so again, that ability to hold in memory, and make those adjustments and manipulations. And then the last one is substituting, changing that initial sound. So taking mat and then changing that to a p, making it pat. I'm guessing with some of our kids that are already a little bit delayed, these second set, maybe 5, 6, 7, and 8 might be skills that we might not get to in the course of that last year, but we certainly want to make sure that they are as strong as possible in those beginning skills, so that will help them as they get to kindergarten. In addition to those phonemic awareness, there are 2 other early literacy skills that this program does incorporate. The first one is alphabet knowledge. And so there's a component every week that you show those letters, and you might just say them together. You might point to them. There's a few different activities. But again, just recognizing and learning that there are, the actual visual representations of those letters. And then the second part, which is really fun, is they have a language awareness through nursery rhymes, and every single week has a specific nursery rhyme that you work on to help them learn some of those skills within the context of a literacy activity. So you might work on rhyming or beginning sound awareness as you're working on some of these really common nursery rhymes. This program is supported by so much research. I just picked 3 small blurbs that talk about the reason why phonemic awareness is so important for these kids to be better readers. The first one is from Blevins in 2017. I won't read them all word for word because you can see them there on the screen, but basically that those phonemic awareness skills and training are the foundation for which phonics is built. So if they have strong phonemic awareness skills, then that phonics can be more effective as they're learning it. The second one in the middle there is Kilpatrick from 2015, and they found that every point in the child's development of word level reading is impacted by those phonological awareness skills, all the way up to learning new vocabulary, as well as just sounding out beginning words. And then the last one, Adams in 1990s, found that the two best predictors of early reading success are that alphabet recognition and those phonemic awareness skills. So the program at a glance, it's designed to be provided in a full 5-day preschool program that every day, I'll show you it in a minute, but every day has 5 maybe rhyming words that they're doing, and maybe 5 initial sound onset fluencies. And they're literally laid out every single day for week 1, week 2, week 3. So you can provide that to the whole class. They do it together. That's, I think, how the program basically started. However, you can make modifications and use it in small group or individual instruction to provide those tier 2 or tier 3 interventions, as well as modifying it to incorporate it at the beginning of an articulation or a language session. As I stated before, there are several other curriculums. There's one that's even earlier than this, that's for that 3 to 4 preschool age, and then also kindergarten, and then primary grades 1 and 2. So they take these skills and they develop them over the continuum from obviously the easiest up to the most complex to help them with those higher level reading skills. The website has so much information. You can go to Heggerty.org and you can find so much information about the program as well as different supports. They have free assessments. So for each level, I believe there's 2 assessments, like an A and a B, that you can download for free, and they take about 5 minutes. So you can include it with your regular speech and language screening when you're doing the Flu-Hardy or whatever else you're choosing to do. It also has download links, which I'll show you in a minute, for some ABC cards for the alphabet knowledge. And then also talks about many of the levels of this program have hand motions that have videos as well as printable guides that go with them. And they're not a hand motion for each letter, but they're a hand motion for each skill. For instance, if you're segmenting or if you're blending, you might use certain hand chopping motions and then blend them together. And it's a great resource. You can look at Heggerty.org, or I'll show you in a minute, there's a whole YouTube site that you can subscribe to, and you can find any skill that you want and find the videos of people actually doing it on YouTube. So this is what the ABC cards look like. They have the letters paired with a different picture that might be that beginning sound. You can download, you can print them out as flashcards, you can make them into a placemat. You can use that just to go through the ABCs and maybe talk about them. But again, just that presented visual, it's not the focus of the program, but it's just one component. And then here is the YouTube link that I told you about. So you can subscribe to it, and it will literally walk you through like the whole week 1, Monday, Tuesday. So like during COVID shutdown and through Zoom therapies, this was something that was really easy to pull up and do with your preschoolers because it was already a video that was created and you didn't have to do it yourself. But if you have any questions on like how is it supposed to look, or what's a good way to present this part of this new program, this would be a great way to just kind of get a glimpse of ways that it can be presented. In the screening, there are several areas that for this level that they look at. So again, it's based on just the 8 levels that I just went through that the program does address. So you can pick if you do, maybe you do the first 3 and they aren't even able to do those skills. You don't even have to complete the entire assessment. It's basically super easy to score. You just have, 5 examples of each of those skills, and then you just determine whether it's an emerging skill, whether they've mastered it already, or whether they haven't even begun to understand what you're asking them to do. It's really easy to give, and it's really easy to target then where you want to start if you're using the Heggerty program. This is the actual program, what it looks like. So this is just one page. This is for week 1. And you can see, I'm going to blow it up a little bit so that you can see it a little better, but you can see each day is represented: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then it has this level is working on the rhyming repetition, onset fluency, blending words. And then it actually does have a couple more skills, but if we're presenting this before an articulation session or in a really targeted tier 2 or tier 3 individual or small group intervention, I don't think we're going to have the opportunity working once a week to get through all 8 of the skills. And so I think it would be important to pick the exact child's level and then pick 2 to 3 skills around the level that they're at. So this is just an example of what you could do in one session. And you could target these 3 skills that are here, plus do an alphabet song, and then tie in a, like this one is the Itsy Bitsy Spider in the nursery rhyme. If I was doing this with a small group of kids, I would have maybe a game that we're practicing some of these skills while we're taking turns with the game, and then using that nursery rhyme, maybe do a craft activity that has something to go with it, and tie in that to stretch that for about 30 minutes. Because with just the auditory, that would be a long time to keep their attention. But I think that you could break it up and then present all of this information. You could even possibly just do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday during the group, and then send Thursday, Friday, those lists home for parents to do a little bit of activity with their children and kind of give them an idea of what we're doing during our sessions. Let's see. So this is the actual picture of the book, but there is now an online version. So I'll talk about that a little bit at the end because Cindy and Jenny have agreed to purchase that. So we have access to it. So we don't even have to make photocopies or carry a book around, that we'll be able to pull it up on an iPad or a computer. And as we're working with the kids, we can just access the online version and then be able to quickly pick the level that you need to be at and pick that page and work with the child at that level. So that's very exciting. The other thing that we can do is, in addition to just doing it as a modified program, is to implement it for a few minutes at the beginning of our therapy session. So when I was doing articulation therapy with some of my kids, when I knew I wanted to target these skills but didn't have access to this program, I would bring rhyming cards or maybe a rhyming story, and we would work on that for 2 to 3 minutes. But with this program, we can just pull up the page and say, okay, we've got, 10 words, we're going to do 5 examples of rhymes, and you might be working on just identification of rhymes or generating rhymes. You could be working on those 5 examples of onset fluency. It's super quick. The information is right there, and you can just easily go through. And as they master that level, you could just say, okay, we've already identifying rhymes after 3 times trying it. Now we're going to go to the generating rhymes page, and you can just quickly make adjustments with the online program that you can adjust to whatever level that student is working at. So that's basically, really in a nutshell, it's a very simple program to implement. The information and all of the levels are readily available. You don't have to create materials to do it because it's mostly auditory. You don't have to bring, tons of extra materials and pull them out of your bag and be ready to go with those. Let's see, let me stop that sharing. So I'm just really excited to have the opportunity for our company to have this program available to us and to be able to add this as another area that we can help these kids be ready for kindergarten and hopefully not have delays that could potentially make it more difficult for them to learn how to read. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. or ask through Jenny or Cindy, we can pass on my information. And Cindy has already purchased the program, and she will be sending out information to us how we can access those with a username and password. And I hope you find it really helpful. Thanks.